With the conclusion of the National Eucharistic Congress, the revival now enters its third and final stage, the year of going out on mission to proclaim the gospel. And Congress organizers are already planning more pilgrimages, as well as looking ahead to the 11th National Congress. The next Eucharistic pilgrimage will take place in 2025, beginning from Indianapolis. Pilgrims will journey all the way to the West Coast and reach Los Angeles on the Solemnity of Corpus Christi on June 22nd. The 11th National Eucharistic Congress could take place in 2033, the year that many believe to be the 2000th anniversary of the Last Supper and Christ's resurrection. But this Congress was so successful, organizers say they might organize the next Congress earlier than that. Leading the National Eucharistic Congress in this next chapter is its new CEO, Jason Shanks. He sat down with our own Montse Alvarado inside Lucas Oil Stadium after the hustle and bustle of the Congress to reflect on the event and to share what's next.
Jason, this was the most incredible experience, historic moment in the American church.
Yeah, 83 years.
83 years of waiting for this moment. How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, I am just over the moon about how this went. So excited, blown away by the people and their response, their hunger for the Eucharist, their faithfulness, their devotion. It just was a fantastic 5 days that I think we could be very proud of. I think from the very beginning there were some questions like, would families show up? Would young people show up? What would the demographics be? How would it look? And we saw all of that this weekend, then some. From the very beginning, it was, can we fill the stadium, right? And we filled the stadium.
Certainly did.
Right. We walked 40,000 people down the streets, or 50,000 people, maybe more, down the streets of Indianapolis. So every step of the way, there was this sense that we needed to just lean on and trust in the Lord, and that He's got this.
We're tearing this down and transitioning out into what comes next.
Right.
You're taking on a brand new role.
I am.
Tell me about the role and what that means.
Yeah, so first let me say, I think what we're doing here, speaking of football, right? This is our huddle up moment as a church. We're huddling, but what everybody wants to know is, what do you do after you leave here, right? How do you execute the play, right? So as church, we came together for 5 days, but now it's about what's next, right? So for 5 days, we talked about a walk with one. How do we discern and identify and find that person we want to bring to Jesus? So for the next year, we'll be working on that. We'll be looking at, how do we create Eucharistic missionaries? And what does that mean? And what does it look like? And how do we form them, right? And so leaving here, we will immediately go into that work. We're going to take this pilgrimage that maybe people have heard about. We're going to do it again. So next summer, we're going to roll from Indianapolis. So we're going to take a year and then come back and remember what happened here. Yeah. And then we're going to do a pilgrimage back to Los Angeles, and do a Corpus Christi celebration out there. So we got some practical things next year. But I think you would agree, why this was started, was begun because people lacked belief, maybe lacked devotion, lacked a certain depth in their faith for Jesus and the Eucharist. That work is not going to be able to be finished in 3 years. This needs to continue. So what that looks like, we definitely know we want to do the 11th National Eucharistic Congress in 2033. We know that without a doubt. Why? It's the year of redemption. It's anniversary.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
It's when better to do it when we can celebrate the anniversary of the Last Supper. Should we do one before? Well, we'll see. I think that's an open question. Could we do some regional congresses around the country? I think so. There's a lot of people that couldn't be here. So can we take this experience to them around the country? That would be great. So behind the scenes, I think there's a lot of discerning and strategizing on how do we take this forward. And I'm humbled to be tasked with that as Tim steps away. But I think people should know, and your listeners should know, what they saw here was just the start.
What does that mean then for you personally? You're moving away from OSV? Is this going to be your full-time gig? What does that mean?
Yeah, this is my full-time gig. Yeah, so for many years, I was 7 years, thankfully, working for our Sunday Visitor Institute. And in that work, it was interesting. I primarily did a lot of work on what I called Catholic innovation. What are those strategies and methods for the new evangelization? But this idea is so compelling that I felt called and compelled to say, I'm all in. And so I'm leaving our Sunday Visitor, and I'm going to take this National Eucharistic Congress forward with a great board of directors and a staff after we've sort of built this over 2 to 3 years. And I'm excited. I'm a little nervous. But as I said, and I have been saying, God sort of has begun a work within me that I feel compelled to see through.
Well, it's such a pleasure to have worked on this with you, to have prayed through this with you, and I'm looking forward to what comes next. Thank you so much, Jason.
Jason shared many more reflections on this historic event with Montse. You can watch their full conversation on our EWTN YouTube page.